All right, what's happening, everybody? See
What
if we
is
got
up?
anybody in chat yet. You can tell today we have a very he's not a special guest. He's a guest. He's been on before. He's special in his own way. Coach Luke is joining us tonight because we are going to go over competition footage from what was it? This past Saturday, right? Was it Saturday? Yeah. From the Newbreed tournament, 3 of our adult students attended in Spartanburg. So I think the plan is we're going to hit it in order. So the way it went throughout the day and the order the matches went, so we could kind of see how either fatigue played a part or how strategies and game plans were adjusted to. And you guys will know what I'm talking about in a bit. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get the footage up. All right, cool. So first up, we have Cole and his first match. This was, I think, 190 to 200 or something like that. Advanced division for no-gi.
And keep in mind these were 4-minute matches, so it's going to seem kind of short.
Yeah.
Quick burn on all these.
Yep.
Yeah. Cole in the red anklet. His opponent in blue. So right off the bat, I was really happy with Cole getting to that front headlock position and starting to weigh heavy on him, which I was advising him to do in the second match as well. I'll get into that later. So
You run it back for just a second. So right there, this position always makes me so nervous. So he's got really good topside head control, and his hips are just so far over his partner's hips here with that butterfly hook. In that position, man, you have to be so ready to get dumped because your balance is all the way shifted to one side. With that butterfly hook, it's really easy to bring knee to chest, start to come in on legs, which is a factor, right, for him right here. So I think if you play it a little bit further, you're going to see like this off balance that takes place. My heart immediately drops as soon as I see that, because I know when I'm there, I'm like, even on top, I'm like, ooh, this is not where I want to be. I got to back up a little bit more and work my way backwards.
Yeah, and I think Cole's crossface, as you're no stranger to with your bottom half guard play, like I think that was the one thing keeping him safe here. Like if his opponent, I don't know, I didn't see his opponent playing too much bottom half or deep half throughout the match, so I don't know if that was in his mind at this point or not. But yeah, I agree, and
right there, yeah.
Even to add on to that, he's not playing with the underhook right now. His opponent isn't really either. So they're both, like Cole can base out here in a second if need be. I don't remember what happens here, but yeah, it was a lot of loading up.
Cole's hard to move on top.
He is, and his opponent's doing a good job here framing. Like you could tell, just the frame on his hips. He looks completely unfazed by the pressure right now. We're only 20 seconds into the match, so he's not tired and getting smashed yet like we often experience with him.
I like how Cole pummels over his face as the ref looks away. Like the ref's looking literally in the opposite direction. And Cole's digging. I'm gonna face palm you. Yeah,
dude, this match over here was eventful, to say the least. They run into our area. They almost took me out at the chair, which was like, it was a bunch of wrestlers, I think, at this tournament.
Well, that's the guy that Danny and Steven go against later.
Yep.
On the left, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So yeah, right here, I think consequence of like what you were saying, Luke, like Cole gets swept here, and then gives up the shoulder crunch, but
yeah, I mean, I think that sweep kind of truly exemplifies what we talk about when we like hip, the center of gravity of a person is like 2 inches below the belly button, and when you ride too high, like above somebody else's center of gravity, you're just gonna go right over, right?
I like the use of the legs here. A little bit delayed, and then Cole's like, all right, get off me. Quick regard. So yeah, about taken out by these guys. I think Cole's working from a familiar spot here.
Double overs, yeah.
Yeah, that's a spot he really either double overs or over under, with those butterfly hooks in, looking for a sweep. But I think that's a good example of a time when some upper body work doesn't go your way, and the ability to switch into some leg attacks, or off balancing, like right here, can be really beneficial. Right, he's got his opponent has his hips pretty elevated right now, leaving his legs pretty wide open.
Oof, yeah, that left butterfly hook, being able to shoot in and under, that would just be immediate, right? Outside Ashi.
Really bad day. I like the deep underhook here. I like him trying to heist up and around.
Yeah.
I love that sweep.
I liked that a lot.
Yeah. And I can't, so hold on, let me see. All right, so Cole got 2 points on that. I don't know. I didn't see the ref give the 2 point sign. Okay, there he is. So they're tied up right now at 2-2. And from here, Cole does really, really well. We start to see him working to mount, working passes. Or transitions to mount rather. I think he gets up to 6-2 here once he gets his leg free eventually.
Now, one error that I'd want to call out just from a sub standpoint is that when he gets up on top and he has that head and arm, I mean, he should be attempting before this roll it back just a little bit. Like, he just takes him over. He's got a head and arm. He literally has a head and arm choke, right, to set up here. He has a katagatame if he gets his ear over to the right shoulder of his opponent, and then shoots the right arm very, very deeply through. He has the ability to start really submitting this guy.
Yeah, throwing on a significant threat.
Yeah, and then just the way Cole's positioned right now, because he's in top half guard, this will still work great. But he's not like, because if he sinks in and he's able to get on that side of the body, even if his right leg is trapped in that 3/4 mount pseudo position, he could still finish there easily. It's not like he's trapped with his left leg. So yeah, totally. And this is a really good example of, pinning with the left shoulder to really cinch that in, and then using his head to tighten, ratchet it down, and pull it in nice and tight.
Yeah, even
right there. Oh my God. Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
That's the spot.
If he use this hand to post on the back of the tricep and just quickly shift his head, he doesn't even need to push the arm across. He just needs to keep that arm in place while he moves his head behind it. You can really
agree. I mean, and in the event that this guy is going away, right? Also keep in mind, and Cole, if you're watching, right, or whoever is interested in this little tidbit, is you have a back take right here too, right? So if he's going away from you, Cole shoots his left knee up, even or above the shoulder line, and he's already got a hook in because he's trapped in half guard, so he could sit back for actually quite a nice back take as well. So he kind of has a dilemma going on with this guy to either give up his back or a katagatame submission.
Yeah. What's up, James? How you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
What's up, man? How's your neck?
So here, I wanted Cole to start working. Well, maybe it wasn't here. I think we were anticipating, if he got to mount, starting to really work on his double underhook position. So he was pretty. I was yelling at him a lot throughout this match to start digging on underhooks, which at one point I regret. And we'll get to that in a second, but I think that was a little bit of him trying to do that and losing position there.
There's something I would want to see if you back it up right before Cole rolled to take the back. Yeah, right there, man. So I would love to see that heavy crossface here and getting those shoulders pinned back on the mat to get him flattened out. Like, for sure, he could take the back here. He got a little ahead of himself when he went to go take the back, which was why he lost it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back just a little bit more, you could see this great opportunity to Cole come across with that right arm and start to flatten out the face and then pin his right knee, like staple it down so he's on that far side hip. You can kind of get his control back. Right now, he's, I don't know what his opponent's name is, but he's working this like kind of pseudo deep half guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because now he has his arm in and under, and that obviously weighs to his benefit when they start to roll.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been really bad if Cole was a little bit further down in the hips and was able to take the back, but it just didn't work out.
Yeah. So basically working back to like a 3/4 mount position, then working to mount from there. Yeah.
Totally. And that's the whole, that's the whole Gordon Ryan take a step backwards, positional dominance thing. Like,
Right.
yeah, I know I'm working backwards, but guess what? I'm doing it so that way I can set myself up better for the future, right? Build a strong foundation and then move from there.
Sure. At some point, I centered the camera back up on him. It's fun trying to coach and record at the same time.
Job by Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stand up. Right? He's able to lock down that arm in reverse position.
And he was working that wraparound muffler that I know he's loved hitting on Steven recently. Or just essentially grabbing the face. Right here, you see him hitting it for a second. His opponent's like, get off of me. So yeah, one thing is, okay, so Cole got 2 points there for the sweep. So he's up 4-2 right now. And one thing his opponent definitely excelled at in this match was elevating Cole's hips, like constantly keeping him off balance, or trying to keep him off balance. There were a few times he caught him, but it's just a good example of how much you can do with that like inside butterfly that he's using.
Interesting though, he's that inside butterfly, but never to set up any leg attacks. And is that just because he just doesn't do that, or is that because Cole? I know Cole, just from training with him, does a good job of keeping his hips back, and he makes his legs largely unavailable.
Yeah. So this is where I was bummed at hollering, insisting on getting the underhook here. Cole's working top half. Ideally, best case scenario, you win the underhook battle. Neither one of them were going for it, and as Cole started to listen and go for it, he gets really overextended here. And I know when he reviews this, and probably already, I know he's reviewed the tape already, but he's gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. His head's really low. His arm is very much extended from his body. It's not a great way to set up that underhook. And partially me, insisting on him looking for him throughout the match, I think led to him getting a little too overcommitted here on that. This is an opportunity for a Darce on his opponent for sure. Like before, rather than digging on the underhook, setting up a Darce, if not even like a tight one, just one to like work on passing. That's another option that you could work from here. But rather than getting your arm completely extended away from the body, leading to this like omoplata style sweep, right? He doesn't quite go for an omoplata. Maybe almost more of like a clamp guard approach to trying to get Cole off balance. But he manages to come up, and his opponent missed a really great opportunity here to transition right to mount. He left that leg way behind.
So like I want to highlight, like we talk a lot on the stream in general about the hand fighting and grip dominance. And what I want to point out here, like why Cole was so overextended when he went to go for that underhook, is because his opponent is doing a fantastic job of a 2-on-1 grip on that far arm. That's a tough grip. I mean, you got two big guys going at it, right? Like he snatches your arm, it's going to be very difficult for you to get it back for one, but for two, if you ignore those grips, it kind of leads on to this type of thing, right? So something that you could do in this is pin your own hand to the mat and then use your knee to like get up and maybe step on one of the forearms and try and strip the grips. But like I, I you have to address these grips, otherwise this definitely can lead to a cascade of events.
Yeah. So yeah, now at this point his opponent starts racking up some points. Gets his second hook in. I think that put them, I believe that put him 10-6 at this point. 8-6 or 10-6. Oh no, that was 6-6 there, and then for the transition to mount, he got up 10-6.
So I find that interesting, and maybe that's a new breed thing, but like
Going from back to mount.
Yeah, if you're going from back to mount, I didn't think that you got points to go from something that was superior to like inferior, right?
Yeah, go figure. Maybe that is the case. These local tournaments and local refs, you're never quite sure.
I didn't read the rules, right? So I'm not saying like it's right or wrong. I just find that odd.
Yeah. And we're coming up on the last like 20 seconds of the match here, so I think Cole was getting pretty tired. He had to wear this kid's weight at this point after dealing with a few different sweeps. So has his arms extended out, can't get his, hasn't been able to get his frames back in on the hips. So his opponent won it right at the end by points. It's never a consolation, but I do always, any match I've ever lost, like I always think about how, if I lost on points, how close were they ever to submitting me?
Yeah.
Because that's the ultimate goal of jiu-jitsu. What's up, Brandon? How you doing, bud? If we look here, like his opponent's in a great position. His opponent was just on the back, couldn't do much with it. In fact, his leg configuration's not ideal here. Starts losing the back, great. He keeps mount. That's very good. Very, very, great choice of what to do. I'm curious how this match would have gone if it had carried on for another 2 minutes or so. He starts climbing the body here, but again, keeping Cole's arms away over his shoulders, like keeping his elbows over his shoulder line, is pretty difficult. I don't see his opponent really working anything here, so it's a tough loss, but it's a points loss. It's not getting subbed, so I think that's always a good thing you can or something you can feel good about. And if you get subbed, well, then you can't feel good. All right, let's go on to their rematch, because this was a one-on-one bracket, so it's best 2 out of 3. So Cole was huffing and puffing after that match a bit, as expected. We can go an hour in the gym. Tournaments are a little different, right? You got the adrenaline to work with. 4-minute rounds, as we know recently, can really take it out of you. So couple that with the adrenaline dump, and it can be rough to have to do more of these matches.
I really like that he noticed and took advantage of getting his left knee past his opponent's right knee. I definitely would have liked to see him start cutting more of an angle, though, rather than laying into the knee shield.
Yeah.
So right here, the guy's knee goes down to the mat, and immediately Cole covers it up. Right, sits. That's great. That's a good catch by him. But now it's time to start either cutting your hips to the right or starting to look to clear that knee shield.
Yeah. Either flatten it out, either turn and face the legs if you want to attack, like sitting up into like reverse ashi positions, going for those like spin around knee bars.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is, and it doesn't really get you to advance, but at least doesn't help them to advance, is really pinching your knees together to keep that bottom leg pinned.
Yes.
Mike, you were teasing me about that the other night when we were training, right? You went to go hip heist up, and I pinned the bottom knees together, and you just get stuck. Right. So yeah, I'm not able to pass that way, but I certainly can ensure you can't hip heist against me and kind of pin you down.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really effective in preventing them from using their knee shield to get you off balance backwards. I told Cole to keep in mind ahead of this match, his opponent was just as tired as he was. He had to wear Cole's weight just as much as Cole had to wear his. His opponent even had, I think they had started the absolute. So like between this match and the previous, his opponent had another. So it was like, all right, now that we know your opponent's dealing with fatigue, let's use that to our advantage. I really want you to, in standing, be heavy on the head. I'll come back to this spot in a second, but you can see right at the beginning, it didn't take long. Like Cole immediately started getting heavy. His opponent sat down, right? Because that standing game with your opponent hanging their weight, or you hanging your weight on them, is a really hard thing to deal with. So it was something that we were really focusing on for this round. Was a lot of head control, a lot of heavy pressure to wear him out even more.
There we go. I mean, so I really like that, how he's starting to try and cut an angle here. But I think to Luke, to your earlier point, when he's doing that, his hips are coming up very, very far, and he's putting weight right on top of his opponent's hips, right, when he's doing this.
Right here. So, like I said before, this makes me super uncomfortable. I know he's trying to pin the top half of his body, but right now he's got an overhook grip. He has an underhook, right? And the only post he has is on his head that's already on the mat, and he's off balance right here. No matter how you slice it, he's off balance right here. This is actually one of my favorite ways. I'm only saying it because I told Cole this the other night. This is one of my favorite ways to sweep Cole. Is he'll come in with an overhook and that guillotine position. And I told him, like, you're not going to finish this guillotine, but I can pin your overhook arm now and bring you where you don't have a post. So, this is another good example of just kind of a little bit overcommitted, a little bit over the top, and just being off balance. With all that being said, he almost passes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so close.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to take away from both of these matches is half guard, top half guard as a passing position is excellent. Like you're already past one leg. You have it largely under your control. So working on like flattening your opponent out, controlling the head and arm, learning to do all that without getting overcommitted positionally, like you were just talking about, is like a really important skill that I think Cole can take away from these matches as one to hone in on. He's going to get no shortage of practice at the school in working on his top half guard passing, with as much as he can like put some of us on our butts or on our back. So that'll be a good thing for him to work on. And like on the flip side, his opponent, I mean, we see him here. His opponent has good frames, right? He's effective in like creating space and keeping it. I wouldn't say that his opponent had too much offensive capability from bottom half. Like, I don't think we've seen him once dive in on deep half effectively. Like working any sort of lower body entrances. No Kimura attempts. Cole did a good job for the most part of not like putting his hand on the mat and like giving an easy stupid Kimura or anything. But I just don't see much offensive progression from his opponent. He's got some sweeps, but that was kind of where it ended.
If he has it, he's not showing it.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm biased, of course.
There's that 2-on-1 grip.
Yeah.
2-on-1 far side wrist grip. Yep. Now, again, I'm not sure what he's doing with it.
Yeah.
But he was able to work himself into an underhook, which is awesome.
Yeah, so he's heisted up and going for a knee tap double.
Yeah, and that was a great sweep for him.
Yeah.
Look at how he handled this. So he shoots, Cole leaves the underhook, or I'm sorry, yeah, he leaves the underhook wide open for his opponent to take. And when he does that, his opponent shucks him by. He switches down to this tight waist grip and starts to hip heist up, right? His opponent's staying pretty locked on that leg, which is immobilizing himself in doing that. You can't move when your legs are just locked around that leg. There now as he untangles it, he can sweep out. Cole tried to hit the Uchimata there with that whizzer, which was a good attempt, kind of a last minute thing to try to hit. But now from here, I'm trying to look ahead on the footage.
Yeah, and
Like,
that whole exchange there, the whole winning that underhook battle, we talk about that all the time, how important that is. Especially from a half guard position, how you have to win that. And if you lose it, how it could be similar, you're just going to go down. Mm-hmm. To Cole's credit, that Uchimata is the way to be able to get that position back.
Yeah.
The other way that you could really start to free that up is just knowing when to bail out. As your partner comes up, especially him in that position, to your point, he comes up with that kind of tight waist grip position right there. Again, easier said than done. He needs to free up that left leg. And then he needs to start to rotate around his partner into like a front headlock position. Mm-hmm. So which is the other way, because he's going to keep his shoulders above his partner, and then he can spin back for the back again, or he can go for a guillotine, or whatever he wants to work from that front headlock. But in my mind, once you've lost the underhook in that spot and your partner's coming up on you, those are really your two options. He picked the one, it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, and he got so far with it that that's a tough spot to recover from, as you got someone barreling into you.
Well, I also want to call out the way that he's
in chill mode now.
Yep.
What's that?
His opponent's in chill mode now. He's keeps staring at the clock. Yeah, he's like, how much time do I have?
Yeah. Let's check the time, and I'm gonna create some really far out frames and try to make sure he can't get an underhook and catch my breath.
What were you saying, Mike? Was there a moment you were pointing at, Mike?
Well, I liked the way that he was trying to strip the grips. Going across, grabbing the arm, like in there. I kind of wish that he would have committed a little bit more to that. I know he was tired, but
but then look at this.
Yep.
Great reversal here out of Cole. Love it. Yep, turning that into something as soon as he let go of that leg, sprawling back, and then getting that top position. And I think he ended up getting he goes front headlock and then pushes the guy back down. It was just a really slick reversal there. Good use of timing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially because you can see he's slowing down a little bit, so really good use of timing.
I like this, how he uses his leg to kind of pry the guy's arms apart. And then since he doesn't get the roll here because his opponent has that left leg based out right there, he makes use of all that space he just created to get his legs back and hip heists up. Like he completely stripped away the grip around his legs. And then got around with real urgency. Like, again, he didn't make it all the way around. It could have ended a little bit better. That's the right idea. Like, even as tired as he was, and Cole was definitely feeling it towards the end of this round. Still trying to be quick and make use of that as it came up.
Look at what his opponent does too in order to keep him down. Like, how does his opponent win the scramble? He kind of turns it into a non-scramble, right? He gets control with a waiter sweep. So he actually puts his knee or his shin up against Cole's thigh, and then he grabs the ankle.
Oh yeah.
He does a switch here, and then he extends his knee away, and then he just uses a little bit of hip heisting here to get up and go on top. So it's actually, I thought that was pretty slick the way that he saw that and did it.
Yeah, good control of the leg, and then like this little shoulder push right in the like right here as he comes up. Yeah. And then, yeah, he racked up some points and stared at the clock. Scoot ahead. And this is like 10 seconds left. Little argument about... So, I give his opponent some credit here. He was actually arguing with the ref about what grips he didn't have on Cole. So, he wasn't taking any freebies.
Good for him.
So, good sportsmanship.
He's like, yeah, I didn't have that grip.
Yeah,
no
yeah.
need to give it to me. Yeah,
I appreciated.
I also want to kind of call out how active Cole was in the matches. You know, like he initiated, I think, most of the movement, in my opinion, that was happening, good or bad. You know, so I think kudos to Cole for being in there for all 8 minutes of those matches. So that was a good job.
Yeah, I agree. His opponent, I think, tried more to slow down the action. Cole tried to keep it going, so it's good stuff. This one, moving on to our third match of 5 that we had that day. This was Steven versus his opponent. This was the guy who we saw running onto the mat with his opponent during the very first match. So we anticipated some good wrestling prowess here. We didn't know how much jiu-jitsu to expect as opposed to wrestling. So Steven, quick background coming into this match, he was pretty inspired, I think, by Gordon Ryan's 11-second leg lock, heel hook at ADCC. And Steven, I think you're in the chat, so yeah, chime up if you or chime in if you want to add anything. But he was definitely looking for some quick, easy leg locks and like slick entrances and all that fun stuff. What's up, Caleb? How you doing? So that being said, paired up with a wrestler, not a terrible plan, right? To sit to guard, enter legs, and work that game. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I'm gonna give more background. I'm gonna give
Go ahead.
The chat. I'm gonna give so Steven's not only he's up a division in Nogi, so I mean that doesn't mean weight. That means skill level. He's only been training a couple of years, right? So he's a blue belt. He's been a blue belt for it's not quite a year yet. He's been a blue belt. So, I mean, he was like, I'm going to go into the tougher division just because I want to be able to heel hook people. And
exactly what he just said in the chat.
Right. Yeah. Which is, I love that. It's because you're like, yeah, I'm going to throw it out there. Why not? And have some good matches. And also speaks to the versatility, not just the leg attacks, but just being able to, if you look at the rule set for Newbreed, you have just so many less rules or so many less legal techniques that you could do a blue belt or whatever their median division is. And he's like, just throw me in the higher one. I just have so many more attacks I want to be able to use, which is cool.
Right. Big technique out of that group is reaping, right? And we've talked about that. We've seen it a million times on the stream. For the unfamiliar, bringing your outside leg over top, which we'll see Steven do. It does a lot to expose heels, and when you're in the beginner and intermediate divisions, you're not allowed to do that because of the danger it puts on the knee against an opponent who may not understand the danger he's in. Everybody in advanced is expected to understand that danger. So Steven was stoked to reap the shit out of some legs and try to break some knees. So immediately sits to guard. Now here's the thing. I didn't catch this until later after I watched the match again. His opponent did something very, very clever here. I think he and his coach were well versed in the rules. Watch his opponent's right foot. So as Steven comes in, Steven's made his connection, so he's allowed to pull guard now. And his opponent tries to get a foot sweep. And I'm not even going to call it a legitimate foot sweep like you see me catching with Caleb every single time we roll when I put him flat on his ass. I mean, an attempt at a foot sweep. Something that the ref could look at and say, he tried to take him down. Steven's butt hit the mat. 2 points for the opponent. That'll come up later as well. But that's why it's really important when we tell you guys, if you want to train, if you want to compete, come talk to us. We'll go over rules. It's little things like that. And honestly, like I didn't expect his opponent to pull anything like this. And once I realized what was happening later, it was, thank you, Caleb. It was apparent that they knew what they were doing. It was a really good move on their part. Fortunately though, the ref didn't see this as points worthy in this case. So he did not get any for that. So Steven immediately reaching to the leg, controlling posture here.
Heavy collar tie. I love that.
Yeah. And I love
you guys haven't watched that new, I'm going to butcher his name, like more submissions, less whatever, on YouTube. He did the really good Gordon Ryan breakdown. I'll find it. But
what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'll probably put it in the chat as soon as I find it. But if you haven't watched the new one yet, when he breaks down some of the ADCC performance, one of the things he points out, which I thought was really astute, he notices some really good things, is the heavy collar tie that Gordon Ryan plays from seated guard position, where he's, instead of like standing, right? Because Gordon Ryan likes to play heavy collar tie foot sweeps because they're relatively low risk takedowns and they can yield some pretty high rewards. Also, in his rule set, no time limit submission only, you're just wearing heavy on the head and it's exhausting. So this is another good example of that. And we saw that all throughout ADCC, and I can't take credit for that. He pointed it out during that stream, and it's such a good call. Anyone who was playing really good butterfly guard, really good half guard, came heavy on the head just to exhaust their opponent and really pull them off of their balance. So
yeah.
Here's another good example of that. I'm going to have to start doing more of that.
No, don't. You're fine. So Steven staying committed to the plan, his opponent disengaging. And then here, you can't hear it, but this whole time, once his opponent stood back up, I really wanted to make sure that Steven was in the right mindset as far as attacking from seated guard against a standing opponent. You guys know every time we go over open guard how much I love making you guys drill what to do against a square stance, what to do against a staggered stance, when to throw in ankle picks, all those sorts of things. So you could tell, what is his opponent standing in? A very, very square stance. Square stances are vulnerable. There is absolutely no reason when you are standing against a seated opponent to be standing square. There are answers for it. There are answers for staggered. I'll take a staggered stance any day. I'm never standing square in front of an opponent. So I was calling out to Steven. He's square. He's square. Steven rightly starts looking for a double Kouchi entrance. He establishes grip here and then goes to shoot in for his double Kouchi, or his two ankles would go behind his opponent's ankles. His opponent tries to step over into mount, and I'll just shut up and let this play through at full speed, and we'll go back over it. A lot to say on this one. Thoughts, boys?
So I'm sad he didn't break it.
Where do you want to start?
I'm disappointed he didn't just break it for the fake tap, but yeah. You already called out the square stance, which is so indicative of someone who's had a long wrestling background, who maybe doesn't know too many submissions. Steven does an excellent job, right, of spinning in right for that Ashi position, and then his opponent thought he was going to just jump into mount. We know the risk there, right? Being able to just pull in one butterfly hook, the mount goes away, and then you have a heavy leg and a light leg. And Steven jumps right in on that one leg and is able to start to work his own reversal, getting his opponent down to his butt. And it looks to me, again, I've watched this 20 times already. It looks to me like either a verbal tap or a tap took place. When one guy goes like this, I mean, yeah, that to me is like it's a tap,
stop.
Right?
Stop.
Yeah,
So,
right. It looks like at a bare minimum he went, don't do any more. Don't do
right
any more
there.
to me, please.
Yeah. So he tapped the shoulder.
I just want to point out before we get too far ahead. Look how quickly this reap occurs. This is over the span of like 3 frames. From here to a big heavy reap. Or getting there at least. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so even like so you're right on the thing that I find this is very telling, right? We talk about people who are kind of like meant for leg entries, and some people are like, I can't figure out how to get into legs. I I want you to see how far Steven's ass shoots through this guy, and then his legs come right up, right? So like, this isn't like I'm gonna do a tap on the ankle and then my leg is gonna lace, right? Like, he's literally shooting his entire body through, pulling the guy's knees to his his ankles or instep to his armpits, and then shooting up for Ashi.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's a deep Ashigarami here. Very tough to get out of. And then, to further your point, as soon as that happens, he's not resting on his laurels with an Ashi. He's cutting an angle super deep and getting a bent leg here, right, with a very solid reap.
Yeah.
So that's just an excellent display of how to shoot in for Ashi, in my opinion.
Yeah, deep hips under his hips. Starts reaping here to get the heel exposure early on. He's really good on the angle. His hips, this was another thing. Maybe you just said this, but Steven's hips are pretty high up off the ground. That's what we want. They could stand to get higher here. Maybe as he hits. I mean, he's got the depth on it. It's not that big of a deal, but anytime we do gravity drills at class where we're shooting into legs back and forth, the biggest mistake a lot of white belts make is they just pick their legs up and do the move. They don't pick their hips up and get on their shoulders like we start to see Steven do here. Makes you a lot more mobile, makes it a lot easier to cut the angle that you need here. And then Steven and I went over that entry before the tournament at class. It didn't quite end the same way because his opponent didn't roll with it. But Steven does a really good job here of adapting. So yeah, the Brazil tap, or the fake tap, whatever you want to call it. Just so I'm not jumping through frames. Let's look at slow motion. Tap. Stops. About to give Steven a high five. Like, yeah, good job. You got me.
Yeah.
Ref doesn't call anything.
Both hands in the air.
Yeah. He goes, oh, okay. Match isn't over, even though I just tapped and quit. So Steven, so he tries to get the heel hook here. Doesn't quite get it, but knows that he has the straight ankle. Which I was really stoked that he switched to that. Instead of just trying to dig on the one move, he didn't quite get the heel exposure because of the way his opponent turned, and Steven wasn't reaping at this point, or not reaping enough at least. But his opponent's toes are right behind the shoulder, like almost in the armpit. Prime spot if you want to bend the foot back. Steven weighs up on the ankle very nicely. This is miserable. And he really starts to hip into this one, and his opponent isn't going anywhere, and he knows it. And you can see by the look on his face, it's probably pretty painful. So he gets the tap there.
Oh, jeez.
So one more time, full speed, just because. Shoots in, tap. I quit. Hey, good job. Oh, it's not over. Okay, it's over. So really awesome. Glad Steven finished that.
On ref.
I've seen this ref at like every Newbreed tournament too. Like,
Yep.
Why does he look so angry?
I don't know.
Looks like a good day for jiu-jitsu. He just looks mad.
All right.
Bad, buddy. Maybe we'll bring you a Snickers in the future.
Steven said, I was so confused. I just looked at him and said, did you just tap to that? Yeah, I mean, and the big, Steven and I talked about this, but like the big takeaway from that is from now on, the match is not over until the ref says it's over. So I don't care if you feel the tap. I don't care if the guy scream taps. The match is over when the ref says it's over. And that's, unfortunately, breaks might happen. Like, I'm not trying to be a savage about it, but like that's just how it goes. The ref, you didn't tell me that. You just said the ref thanked me for stopping the first time. Wow, that's really fuck that ref. I'm not gonna say
What did
anymore.
I don't know. I can't see the chat. So what did he say?
He said the ref thanked me for stopping the first time. So it's like, and gave me the shrug of like, I don't know what the F that was, is what Steven said.
You know, maybe the lesson we can learn from this is we don't stop until the ref tells us we should stop.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, that's what we take away from there.
Yeah. So on to our next match. We have Danny and the same opponent. Steven just kind of gave away a lot of what the game plan probably was going to be. Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, you made the ref's day a lot easier with that one, bud. So you know, I spoke earlier before the last match when we saw his opponent try to hit that like fake foot sweep and get a quick 2, and it didn't work for him. But what that was indicative of to me is decent rules IQ, right? So we're gonna see that a bit more in this match as well. Also, good fight IQ, adapting to, you know, the possibility, the probability of working with another guard pull, which Danny opts to use for this match. So Danny makes his connection, sits to guard, and his opponent says, "All right, let's back up." Now, this is where things get kind of stupid, but you know, like I said, it's fight IQ. Right there. This is a takedown. Right? That's a 2-point takedown.
It's playing the rules. I mean, it's not wrong.
Right.
You know, he was up just a little too long.
Yep. Watch the ref's head here. Shakes his head, says 2 points. Danny comes up again, hips up.
Yeah.
The ref's like, damn, dude, I gotta give another 2. So I'm yelling to Danny here. I'm like, keep your butt down. You have to keep your butt down. Down 4-0 real quick within the opening seconds of the match. Good adaptation on his opponent's part. But now we're in a hairy spot because his opponent's up by 4, and now he just gets to disengage. And unfortunately, penalty points here don't subtract from your total score the way we see them, you know, do in like ADCC. And he doesn't get any points, Brandon, for the mustache, unfortunately. Although that's a travesty.
So I gotta ask. So I heard this from Danny. I didn't watch the video with audio. We don't have audio here. What I was told was there was active coaching and the word disengage was used. You were there
multiple times.
So, you could hear it on the video. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I haven't watched it with audio. I watched it without audio. When I got sent the video, I wasn't able to listen. But man, that's super shameful. Like straight up to the coach, shameful. I don't care. You could be a tactician and be like, hey, I'm going to be really smart about how I play the rules. Man, using the disengage, telling your guy to disengage, learn some jiu-jitsu, dude. Like I'm not even because I'm biased for my guy. Like that's just poor leadership from the coach. And then 2, really poor reffing here. Like you cannot have someone saying disengage. Now I went back through the rules. I don't see something that specifically calls out not engaging. I think what a lot of these like local competitions do is they'll adopt a lot of IBJJF rules to fill in the gaps about things that they don't explicitly talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You guys might know. Does Newbreed do that? Because then all of a sudden all those things apply. Regardless, I don't care where you're competing. Man, you got to engage. You can't literally say like they're stalling and they're stalling. Right?
Yeah.
Like telling your guy to be like, yeah, just hips back. You got 4 points, baby. Just
go wait in the car until the timer runs out.
Yeah, we're here to do jiu-jitsu, right? So again, I know I'm partial to my guy, right? But at the same time, I'm also partial to the fact that telling somebody to stall is, I don't have anything nice to say about that, I guess.
Yeah, I'll speak more to that at the end of this. In the meantime, like it was very apparent what their game plan was at this point. So my advice to Danny here, was staying down. I wish that they would have kept him down from there. Instead, they start him back up because I guess they went out of bounds or some shit. I don't know.
Good, like tripod / dummy sweep type of a thing.
Yeah.
I think Danny would have scrambled up top.
Yeah, or gobbled up the leg and all that. But so from there, the first only two legitimate points scored in this match. We still have over half the match to go, so there won't be too much to pause here and look at. I think right there the kid was starting to advance, and his coach said, "Disengage." Danny was totally content to work from bottom position, to even work from bottom side control. We've seen numerous times how Danny is probably the best person I've ever rolled with to set up reverse triangles from the bottom. He has a unique way of getting to that is, hard to stop. Makes you feel stupid when you get caught in it over and over and over again. So Danny was at this point content to eat even more points, a la, someone like Gary Tonin. It's like, all right, I'm down. Let me go for broke and take risks. Maybe it'll pay off. But his opponent had other plans. His opponent and his coach had other plans. So kind of sort of doing enough to maybe not get called on penalties. Again, penalties don't even really matter at this competition as far as I can tell. I guess you got to...
It's a tie.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
So you have a lot of autonomy here. You can tell. There's no argument to say he's doing enough. He's backing up.
Right.
Like, he's just consistently backing up until he has an opportunity. At least there was an attempt here, right? Yeah.
And then what? Like, gets around. Says, nah, never mind. Yeah. So it was disheartening. So my advice to Danny, I think, when I originally started that statement, was to try to get a grip. I was saying 2-on-1 on the wrist, because we know how square his opponent stands. So if he could manage to get 2-on-1 on the wrist, keep him from backing up and use that to pull himself in, go for that double Kouchi, double inside ankle sweep, and get him down from there and try to advance position from there. It's just such a difficult thing to do when your opponent doesn't want to get close enough to you to do that, or bat your hands away in this like negative gripping sort of approach where it just looks like he's basically just swatting your hands away.
The other thing he could do in this position, because he's not allowed to talk to the ref typically, right? That's not something that's allowed to happen. When his partner starts to back away, when you first start going, you can see Danny's like scooting across the mat, right?
Mm-hmm.
To try to engage. Again, this is part of his strategy to be able to start to engage jiu-jitsu, and he has an agenda. His opponent has an agenda. So one of the things he can do is not follow.
Yeah. Sit there.
He could sit there. And then when the ref says, hey, you guys need to go, that opens up the avenue to have a little bit more of dialogue around, he's disengaging. And I'm ready to go. I'm in a seated guard position. He's not engaging me. So it kind of opens up the dialogue a little bit more, because you can't really force that with the ref. But if he engages with you, you're allowed to answer, and that's one way to do it. When someone's being super obvious about it.
Right. If this was MMA and your opponent was constantly backing up, the ref would stand you both back up. This is jiu-jitsu. This is ground fighting. An opponent backing away is an opponent disengaging, and that's penalty worthy. So if you sit there and say, come to me, come at me, bro, that's. The ref's got to say, engage him. What are you doing? Why are you backing away? The other high risk opportunity he could have taken was to stand back up with him. Again, at that, like later on in the match, after all this garbage, kind of was just like, hey, whatever. What do you got to lose? I wasn't telling him to do that, but Danny and I spoke about that afterwards as another possible opportunity. But yeah, super frustrating. It's just a lot more of this. In regards to what you were saying earlier about the coaching, Luke, even after the match, his coach apologized to me for giving that advice. Like, he was like, "Hey man, sorry, but," he's like, "that's just the way it is." You know, he wanted to get the W. He didn't want to do jiu-jitsu. And it wasn't like come up, shook my hand, you know. It was like, "Sorry, bro, that's the way it goes." So,
Yeah.
whatever, man. I don't care. If you're gonna be like that about it, that's fine. That's on you. Have fun telling people how you got that silver medal.
Yeah, it's a weird way to do jujitsu. Yeah, I don't know. I can't sit here and talk about like honor or anything. The whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is one of the worst, most blatant things. And I don't know if he's looking to his coach just to remind him to back up. Like, he's like,
yeah, what do I do now?
Yeah, hey, you're doing a great job of backing up and not engaging. Continue to not engage.
Yeah. So, real bummer that the match went that way. I mean, you know, we prepped for worst case scenarios, and that was kind of a different kind of worst case scenario, is not getting able to do the jiu-jitsu that you work on. So hopefully in the future we don't encounter that sort of thing, but you live and learn. On to the final match of the evening. This was interesting. When we got there were four competitors in this bracket. Steven and Danny were two of them. There was the guy we've seen go against both of them, and then another guy who did not show up. So it became a 3-man round robin. That means no matter what, Steven and Danny were going to go against each other. So that's the match we get to end with on the day. And we were curious how it would have played out if Danny ended up beating Steven, since like how it played out. It was like, well, who gets gold? I think they would go, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but like it would go to either most points scored or quickest sub or some sort of tie-breaking criteria. But yeah, so it was going to be fun. The big question was, who was I going to coach? And it was nobody. I wasn't going to help either one of you, and I wish that you both would have lost somehow.
It would have been funny if they got a double L for disengaging.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we take this really seriously here.
Yeah. So Danny getting to work, or I'm sorry, Steven getting to work his original plan a little bit closer to like the Gordon Ryan 80cc 11-second heel hook here. I just want to point out, I really like an adjustment he made here. Gets to the angle, breaks the knee down, but here he doesn't have the knee line. Danny was, I don't care. Danny was doing a good job trying to get the knee out, so he was safe. I think we've all been here with Steven plenty of times before. Steven gets his hand in there to block the knee, opens his legs up, and just, you see a little kick from his right leg to get his quad in front of Danny's knee. And then he works on reestablishing the grip. Danny manages to keep those legs open, though, and shuts down Steven's attempt on the heel hook.
Good exchange from both of them.
Danny was having too much fun shit talking here.
I could tell. Got his back taken.
Danny's a little twisted up. Steven's working some kind of splitting the legs right now, a little bit of leg riding. Trying to stave off the guillotine attempt, the arm in guillotine attempt from Danny.
Yeah, it's giving no points.
Yes, they both have an advantage point now. Oh, Steven just got points.
The points. Yeah, I was gonna say he should have gotten reversal points, so that it just came a little.
Yeah, I think once he got the submission, freed from the submission attempt, that's when they gave it to him.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because once he got free of the submission attempt, Rev, he said no points, and then I'm guessing he meant no points for Danny, like no advantage, and then
that was advantage point. So it was,
he gave it advantage.
Yeah, he gave advantage that way, and then 3 seconds later gave the 2 for the positional control.
Got it.
And then Steven says, "All right, let me try an inside heel hook today," and he ends up getting it. So gets it from this leg split, kind of, I mean, I wouldn't even really call it. It's like that reverse half guard where the knees are pointing away. I think, Danny, once you ended up untriangling your legs here, that was kind of the oopsie daisy for you. And Steven got that shin across the waist, gets in on a nice inside heel hook. And
50-50 inside heel hook.
Yeah. And I, Danny was turning the right way here. I just don't think, like, Steven did a good job in weighing up Danny enough, I want to say, to like slow him down to where he couldn't roll fast enough to get out of the heel hook. So
deep on that knee line too.
Yeah. So we didn't have to go to any special criteria for tie breaking. Steven ended up getting the gold. Danny took third place in the division. So yeah, that was the day.
The old dirt squirrel. The old dirt squirrel didn't save you, Danny. Sorry.
Yeah. So either way, that was oops, we lost Luke. We'll just leave it on this. That was the day. We had 5 good matches. Plenty of really good lessons learned. I think it had been, man, when was the last time we went out to a competition? It was like, it's been a good couple of months now, right?
Good fight. Yeah. Wasn't it the good fight last time?
It may be. I genuinely can't remember.
Austin competed.
It was in April.
Austin.
Yeah, it was April 2nd. Good fight.
Yep.
Yeah, so almost 6 months since the last competition. I think everybody's definitely come a long way. All the opponents we had today definitely did. Steven said, I wanted the straight ankle, then he unwound, leaving the heel hook. Okay. Steve, so I've got April for the for good fight, April 2nd, unless there was another one in March. Yeah. In any case, yeah, like I was saying, really, really good lessons learned, tactical lessons, personal lessons. The best thing to always come out of these is learning what you have to work on. So I think the three of you definitely learned a good bit of that, learn what you can work on, learn what you're great at and what you can build on and all that good stuff. Parting thoughts, Luke, anything?
Everybody did awesome. Super proud of everybody who competed. It's it's hard to do. Not everybody has to do it, but the people that do, they show their heart. They work really hard, and it's good to see. And hopefully they feel like they want to put it back out there. The worst thing you could do, in my opinion, is lose competing and then decide to quit. And I've seen it 1,000 times where somebody goes out, they decide they want to compete, they lose, and then they just don't come back to class. Yeah. That's like the worst way to ever lose. Then you lose twice. You lose competing and you lose at jiu-jitsu. Like, you really lose.
Yeah.
So as long as you come back, that's what it all matters. I was talking the other day. This is like totally ridiculous, but I'm going to mention it anyway. So you guys know what hot dogging is? Any idea?
No, Luke.
No. Okay. So the hot dogging is a form of skiing that was created. It was like back in the 70s. Yeah, calm down. Relax.
This is a family show.
Yeah. No, I'm well aware of it. But so what they would do is obviously skiing, like every other sport, has progressed over time. In the 70s, they came up with a way of skiing called hot dogging, where you'd have these mounds. Then you'd have to try to ski over them.
Oh yeah. That's still an Olympic sport.
It's still an Olympic sport. That's 100% right. But here's what's interesting. So when they first started, they realized really quickly, everybody's going to dump out on these things. So you're going super fast down a hill, you're trying to negotiate, and then you roll, you turn over, right? So they awarded points based on how well you recovered. And as long as you didn't stop, you were able to get points. And I was like, that is the most badass sport. Think about that for a second. That's all about I just dumped out, but as long as I keep going and don't quit and recover, not only do I get points, but the more badass way I recover, the more points I get.
Yeah.
And then that's, to your point, it's an Olympic sport now. I think it has a more official name. I don't think they call it hot dogging, but
mogul skiing.
Mogul. That's right.
M-O-G-U-L.
Yeah. So just something to think about. I mean, that's such a good concept or philosophy to take away is I'm going to keep going no matter what. And then, that just kind of embodied that. I thought that was a cool story.
Yeah, no,
I'm glad that there's a more official name than hot dogging.
Thank God.
I'll call it mogul skiing.
I don't know, dude. That might get more play in America. I mean, we have a hot dog eating contest, so if there was skiing based around it, Cool. Peters, anything?
Nah, I echo what Luke said.
Hot dogging.
Proud of everybody who competed.
Hot dogging.
And the hot dogging, yes.
Yeah, really cool stuff, guys. Danny says Steven should quit BJJ and ski instead. In any case, if you guys, I know we have a few others interested in competing in November. There's a Naga on November 5th. I know a few of you have reached out to us already about training for that. So we will get things in order to prepare for that one as well. Now the chat's just devolving into personal attacks.
Wish I could see the chat. I can't see it.
Steven,
It's
on Twitch. It's not over Discord. Steven says, I don't take advice from creeps with mustaches. Despite his both of their creepy ass mustaches.
It's terrible. That's so bad.
In any case,
you imagine, we're gonna post their photos on the website, and this is going to parents, and they're gonna be like, "What is going on at this school?"
There goes our kids program.
Mooresville. This is
yeah.
In Mooresville, North
kids
Carolina.
quit.
Yeah, no kids, no women. It's gonna be a pretty monocultural school here. Yeah, Danny does drive a white van, so no, that's just a bucket truck. Yeah, so talk to us about November 5th if you guys want to compete. What else? Anything else? There will be no stream this Sunday, and then I don't think there will be one next Monday. I'm actually going to be I'm preoccupied, so I will not be doing that. Last soccer game of the season that we have tickets for, so I don't care. I know I'm going to catch a bunch of shit from all of you for saying that I'll be at a soccer game instead of doing the stream. Whatever. Kick my ass at class if you have a problem with it. In any case, follow us here if you're not. We're at 99 followers. It would be really rad. Totally meaningless to get to 100. Nothing comes of it. But we would really appreciate the support. So tell a friend, tell your mom. I've already told her, but she didn't listen to me. So try to tell her too. Follow us over on YouTube as well, where we will post a stream for you guys to review and feel shame about your performances in perpetuity. Other than that, I think it's back to, we got Geek Class tomorrow. Well, it's not going towards gift subs for you, Caleb, which hurts us too. So everybody's losing out on this when when we don't stream. All right, enough. I will talk to you guys, or we'll see you guys on the mats tomorrow and this weekend. So take it easy.
Later.
See you later.